Hello and welcome to my solution for the practice final for CIS 195. I've been having all kinds of issues with both audio and producing the video, so I am going to have this be my final attempt. Anyways, your attempt's going to start with, you got to download the data files. I'm going to extract those. Here's the extracted folder. Open that up. And you'll see I have a bunch of images in here. A few other resources I have. I have instructions. I'm not going to look at those for a little bit. I have some images, and I have this layout. So this is my rough sketch of what things are going to look like. So just overall analysis. This is just really meant to show you the divs and the major components. So we've got a top div, we've got a left div, we've got a main div, we've got a nav bar. I'm going to say that nav bar is within the main div, and we've got a footer below. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 divs essentially. Structure it as you will. And so, okay, fine. Alright, I'm going to start with a new thing. I'm also going to close that one. Alright, so I'm going to just start with a Doctype. And so I have no choice here but to make these way shorter. It's my only chance at making these things actually produce. So I'm going to try and go about 10 minutes. It's going to be terribly annoying because there's going to be a bunch of them. And it's hard for me to go back and forth between producing and writing code. But I guess that's what I'm going to have to do. Particularly when I've already done this so many times. But enough about me. Alright, I'm forgetting to close all my tags. I'm just setting up a framework here. I don't like making you guys watch me do this, but I am starting from scratch. So I've got a head, I've got a body, I've got an HTML, I've got a doc type. Now in order for this to be valid, I've got to do meta charset equals UTF-8, and I've got to put a title in here. And this is what happens when I work at the end of the day, but I do not want to put this back any further, so I'll say movie reviews. Another thing that I gave you, which is an image, is a picture of what it's going to look like when we're done. So I put all these callouts all over it with a little bit of additional information. All of these callouts pertain to CSS. I'm just going to do HTML first, so I'm not even going to care about this. But this is what it looks like. It's a movie review website, hence my title. Alright, so that's somewhat valid. I will also just put some style tags in here. In the end, you're going to have an external style sheet, but for testing purposes, I'm going to do it inside. So I think my biggest hint I could give you is to look at the divs, set up the layout first, and then it's going to be a matter of just filling up those divs with content. So I'm going to start with my top div, then my left, then my main. All of that is contained within a container div. A lot of room there. Brain barely functioning. Inside of that, I'm going to have another div, and that is going to be ID equals top. Now, should I just call this a header? Probably. Alright, I'm going div ID equals top. I'm just trying to be consistent with this little image right here. If I could certainly call this the header area of the document, that would probably be more accurate. Also, notice I've got closing div, closing div. That means I should probably do some comments. Just to keep these straight, because at the end of my document there's going to be like 4 closing divs, and that is just an accident waiting to happen. At some point it's overkill, but comments are generally a good idea. I've got my top div now. Next I'm going to set up my left div. It's a div. ID equals left. Close that div. Notice how I'm not putting anything in them. I am just simply putting them here so I don't forget to close them later on, because literally the worst mistake you can make is not closing off your divs. Now, what should I call that main area? Well, here I kind of called it main. I could call it right. I am going to say my nav bar is inside of my main. If you put your nav bar separately, that would be fine. But I'm trying to keep things somewhat simple. This isn't simple, but we'll say it is. Alright. I keep forgetting things like that. It's okay. just so long as I catch it. And the last thing I'm going to have is a footer. Now that footer actually runs the length of the page. You can see it. That's not the most efficient way. You can see it actually does span the entire page. What I'm getting at is it in the bottom of the content or is it on the bottom of the page? It's on the bottom of the page, which means that it's between the container and the main. And so I am going to use an actual HTML5 tag and say footer for that because it's easy enough. And I'm also going to flesh it out. So my name, copyright, CIS 195. So just in the footer tag here, I'll go can sort out copyright, so that's and copy semicolon COCC CIS 195 2013. So my footer's done. Right, I'm kind of going in arbitrary order here. I don't know where I'm going to break this video because I'm really paranoid that I need to make them small. This looks legitimate. I'm just going to click on some things. Hopefully they close where I expect them to. Okay, now time to start dumping some content on the page. Now, this page, essentially I'm going to start by working with this top div. No styles, I'm going to do those last. So there's an image here, and there's a form here. So I'm going to start with the image. So that's just an IMG. It's got a SRC, source attribute, and the alt is going to be logo. And I'm also going to give it an ID because I know where this is going. My ID is going to be logo because I want to apply certain styling to it. I don't know what that file's called. It's called allstarreviews.png. Alright, that should work. That's how you insert an image called All-Star Reviews. Then that image is clearly floated to the left, but I'm not doing CSS right now. I'm going to put a form in here. So form, my form, I will give it an ID, and it's going to be called search. It's going to have an action, which is going to be nothing, indicated by a pound sign. It's going to have a method, and I could either do get or post. I'm just going to do get. I'm going to close my form. I'm going kind of fast, I know that. In here, there's only two inputs, and this will be the last thing I'll do in this video. So one of those inputs is type text, and that is the search value. So I'm going to say ID equals search value. It also has, so an interesting thing here, it has some default text in it. And so we need, so enter your search term. I'll deal with that in a minute. Let me put the search button on there first. So the button is going to be input type equals submit. And if I want it to say search instead of submit, then that's my value. So I'm going to say value equals submit. Alright, so if I want to actually put some text in the button, that grayed out text, it kind of looks like a value, but it's not. A value is something I would have to erase on my own. Instead, what I want to do is I want to put a placeholder in there. And notice that doesn't get highlighted because it's not going to work in all browsers. So I'm going to say enter search value. Show you. I'm not going to show you what it looks like. That's my theory. Is I'm not going to even look at this page until I get enough stuff on it. Oh, where is that? Okay, fair enough. So that's going to give me that gray text right there. That is it for this top div. So I'm done with that part as far as the HTML goes. I'm going to save this. I'm going to attempt to produce it, and if I can pull that off, then I'm going to come back and start fleshing out some more divs. I would assume in the next 10 minutes, without too much trouble, I should be able to fill out the rest of the divs, and then the CSS will probably be a couple more videos.